Buy, deliver with the two-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester, Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.
Three, two, one, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing, episode 70. And we're down at Oliver's Mountain, Scarborough, after a fantastic Gold Cup, very successful with the weather.
The weather makes it. The weather makes it.
We're delighted to be joined by Mick Grant. How are we doing?
Doing fine. It's been a cracking weekend. It's the fourth meeting we've run, and it's the first one we've had without any weather problems, so it's been fantastic.
And the racing's been so tight, especially.
It's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
The lap record's fallen and good. I know the crowd's got sort of capped with the COVID restrictions, but still, looking around the track, it looked like a really good turnout.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a real old fart and I've been around a long time, but I still get a buzz because it's only Oliver's Mount where you can get so close to the racing. Mm-hmm. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, and plenty of people on the mountain. Obviously, Dom's been racing this weekend, and both on the Twin and the 600. And have you had a good weekend?
Oh, it's been fantastic because, like you say, we got cursed at the Barry Sheen because fantastically the orders changed now. Because normally you used to come to Scarborough and you had 2 days and you had like less than 5 minutes, let's face it, to actually qualify, get your practice in, and you would straight into the racing. So the new format, may I just say, is absolutely fantastic. The fact that it takes the pressure off everyone, it just gets everyone more settled in, and it reduces crashes.
It's a lot more difficult, but the reason we did it this year was because people hadn't been riding and they needed time to settle down, and it wouldn't have been fair just to do a normal 2-day meeting.
Is that the plan for the future then? Do not pop my bubble because I'm blowing smoke up your arse here, Mick. I'm well up for a 3-day meeting every time.
I think we may get some 3-day meetings next year, but it's quite a lot more difficult to put on.
Right, is that because of the council timetable, or why is that specifically?
Well, we have so many years from the council we can use, and obviously this year we've only had 2 meetings, so
yes,
that's part of it. But logistically as well, it's more difficult. But it certainly works. But the downside, of course, is that you're getting so many miles in, but by Sunday afternoon, half of the equipment's knackered.
I suppose you're not wrong, and everyone's getting a little bit more tired. But to be fair, you'll be used to that because you'll be used to this timetable: Friday practice and then Saturday, Sunday. But throughout your career, you won't be shy to a bit of graft, would you?
Hey, we came in a Sunday morning, raced Sunday afternoon, and went picked a start and went home.
Was that? Oh, brilliant! Was that just for Oliver's Mount, or throughout your whole career? Just turn up on the Sunday and go for it.
Well, no, I mean, I look at some meetings now, especially BSB, and I just don't understand how it works because most people in the paddock have got a job; they're not lucky enough to be sponsored, and they've got to get the bikes prepared, make enough money during the week, which they've only probably got Monday and Tuesday at, get the bike sorted out Wednesday, and then they're at the circuit for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Doesn't really make a lot of sense.
No.
And especially as they're not getting any money for doing it.
That's the thing. In your opinion, okay, we're talking about the money side of it. You see, you've come. Can I just say, you can slap me all you want, Mick, but you've come from that golden era where you got paid for this sport, and there was money flowing around, there was money flying about the place.
Yes.
That just seemed to have capped. What, in your opinion, why did the money tree get shaken?
Well, when I started sort of earning money from start money, probably in 1971, 72, you get 200 or 300 quid for going wherever. But towards the end of my career, maybe 84, 85, even at that stage it had dropped off dramatically.
Why was that then? Everyone's got an excuse for these things, but but I'm just wondering, as a sport in general, why did the glamour go from that in that way?
It's a difficult one, really, but I think that if you look at the BSB circuits now, they're very well prepared. They're putting a lot of money in, there's a lot of investment in it. And I don't suppose you can have it always. I mean, in my day at Cadwell Park, we had a lovely old fellow called Charlie Wilkinson, who was a real rogue. And it come into your tent at 5 o'clock in the morning to make sure you got tickets and whatever. And he ran it on a shoestring and sort of collared all the money. And he paid us okay.
Yes,
that's all gone. I remember one particular time, and Charlie, he used to go into his little wooden office, and he had all his notes in shorthand, so you couldn't see who had got what start money or whatever. And you go in there and it'd say, right now, what's your name? And you say, Mick Grant. Oh, yes, right. What sort of a day have you had? And if you'd have said I finished first and not second, he said, no, you didn't. He knew exactly where you were. And he used to pay £1 notes, which is lovely. And
Cash is king, young.
this particular time, I was getting £2,000. And so that was the deal we'd done. So we're in this little office, and he said to me, right, is you £1,700, Mick? I said, Charlie, we agreed 2,000. No, we didn't, it's 1,700. So I shoved the pile back to him. And then it came backwards and forwards. I reckon we knocked about 60 quid off the bottom of it, wearing it out. And eventually it came round. Great character. Those characters don't exist now.
And which is a
I
damn
think,
shame.
I think after times of uncertainty here at Scarborough, I think people are just so pleased to see the racing back on.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I say, bike fans from this area, it's the only real road race left in England.
That's
It's the only road race in England.
And I think people are just so pleased to see. I think I'm a little bit loud there. I think people are just so pleased to see the racing back. But looking back over the history, the sort of glory days here, and we're seeing like huge crowds, like when you were racing.
Yes.
What was the first year you raced here at Scarborough?
Probably either 69 or 1970. On my old Velocet.
What's that? I don't even know.
You don't know what a fella said? Chrissy, man. Chrissy.
Oh, goodness gracious.
For God's sake, it's a man's bike, son.
It's a piece of black engineering that if you threw it down a mine shaft, it might just touch 100 miles an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds about the stamp of it, isn't it? There we go.
And obviously you were in that glory days of the two-strokes as well, like pretty much for a lot of your career.
Yes.
And I mean, it's they've still got the 250 race here, which is fantastic.
But do you know
the smell,
something?
the sound.
If you sort of asked me the best days of my career, you'd expect me to say maybe riding works bikes and whatever, and it wasn't. The best days were in the early 70s. I had a 250 and a 350 and a Ford Transit van and a Thompson T-line caravan stuck on the back of it. And I'd decide, we'll do a few what would now be BSB meetings, MCD meetings, and you get 200 or 300 quid start money. And then I think, right, I'll go to Aston and do the GP. I'll go to Aston, I'll go to Hockenheim, maybe Sweden and Finland. And you just go and enter. You get a couple of 100 quid for going. And the fastest 40 got on the grid. And that was GP racing as it was then. And that was fantastic. And there was no bullshit with having sponsorship and whatever. You got your own bikes in your van that you paid for out of your racing. And you just did whatever you wanted.
That's it, smoking tabs and drinking pints. There you are.
Well, yeah. I never smoked, but I drunk a fair bit, yeah.
Good man.
And when you first came here, who was the big names back then?
As a spectator, when I first came, Jeff Duke. And then I remember a very young Mike Halewood on a Works Mondial. And of course later I was lucky enough, when he made his comeback, I raced against him, which is a great privilege.
And not many people can say that, can they?
No, that's right.
Fair play, Jürgen, fair play.
Yeah. And then one of my all-time heroes is a German sidecar ace called Helmut Pfaff.
You've just made that up.
No,
You've just made, don't you lie to me.
Helmut Pfaff was an amazing engineer. First of all, when BMW were racing and dominating the world, he had his own private BMW and he won the World Championship. Then he built his own four-cylinder, which was called a URS, and he won the World Championship on that. And he was such a clever fella. His dyno he got an old trailer with an aeroplane propeller on it with a variable pitch, and he towed it into the Black Forest. And to make it pull and do the torque, he just varied the pitch on it. Such a clever guy.
That is outstanding. I tell you what, that's a very good question. That's a pub quiz question. Who was the first dyno? That might have potentially been.
It might not be the first dyno, but it was the only one he could afford because he always worked on a shoestring.
There we go.
And then later, he did a flat 4 2-stroke, which was again just incredible.
You mentioned obviously about having the privilege of racing against Mike after he made his comeback.
Yes.
And obviously you had the even bigger privilege of taking his lap record at the TT, the one that stood for 8 years.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time that must have been an amazing feeling.
No, it wasn't really. I mean, no, because as a racer, it really doesn't mean a lot. It meant a lot to other people, and I'm still remembered for it. And I mean, the record stuck for 8 years. It shouldn't have done.
Why do you think it shouldn't have?
Yeah, go on then, yeah.
Well, I mean, Mike was incredibly quick, and it was on a factory Honda. They pulled out, but even then, I think the lap record should have gone before then. But that particular year, I got to know Mike quite well, and in practice, he was on the Marlboro Yamaha, and I was on my 750 Kawasaki, and halfway through practice, Pat Hennon on the work Suzuki and myself were lapping about 113 miles an hour, and Mike was doing about 109. And he came up to me and said, "I'm in bother. Can I do a lap with you?" Well, it would be like God asking me how to sort the Bible out for him, because this is the number one guy in the world. And I said,
"Wow,
yeah, all right, we'll go to." So we set off as a pair, went down Bray Hill, and he went first. Now then, at that time, I was sort of winning TTs, but
how old were you at this point? How old was Mike at this point, roughly?
oh crikey, I would be. I was 31, 32.
And how old was Mike?
He'd be a bit older.
That's what I mean. That's fantastic.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
like proper master student reversal. That isn't
Yeah,
it? It's
yeah.
like, come
Yeah.
on, son, I'll show you the way
But
around.
it worked out horribly wrong, because
I take that back. That comment. Then I take that back.
I was good from the start to Ramsey. I was absolute crap.
Literally half the island. There you are.
Crap from there to the top of the mountain. I don't know why I got better later, but then from the bungalow down, I was exceptionally quick. But you put them together, and it was a decent lap. And I followed Mike all the way to Ramsey, and it was pretty well on it. It was pretty well right everywhere. And then my worst fear, going up towards Ramsey Airport, when he pulled over and waved me by, and he wanted to follow me on my worst bit. My head just scrambled. If he'd have asked me what my name was, I couldn't have told you. I missed every apex. Oh, just so embarrassing. And we came back to the finish, and he said, "Right, what have I done wrong?" I said, "Well, in this, when you were in the 60s, you've got drum brakes. They're this size, but they don't work. You've now got discs." I said, "You're braking 30 yards too early everywhere." He said, "Oh, thanks for that." He says, "By the way," he says, "bloody hell," he says, "how you get round like you do, I don't know." He says, "You crap, you missed every apex." And I hadn't the heart to tell him. And Mike being Mike, the next practice, he was up with us. We're all on 130 mile an hour. What a bloke.
Now, one thing I've always thought about is when I watch the TT now, I think it's mental, like the speeds they're doing and stuff.
Yeah.
But back in two-stroke days, riding at those sort of speeds, and in the 70s, doing over 190 mile an hour,
Yeah.
the Northwest 200.
Yeah.
That is
Were you
serious.
not? I mean, were you like always hovering the clutch, ready for the thing to seize, or like?
I remember.
I've seen this man ride at Goodwood, right? And he was on John Chapman, a very good friend of yours, John
Yeah, yeah.
Chapman's MV Augusta. I mean, I'm going to throw some figures in your face. This thing is just shy of £250,000, right? He's got on it like a 19-year-old, right? And he's hammering the absolute tongue. Gary Johnson's the second rider, thinking, how am I going to keep away from him? And there's Mick. Like, you can just see this finger hovering over the clutch. You can't get it out of your head, can you?
Can't, no. That's right.
Once a two-stroke rider, always a two-stroke. You can just see this finger going.
Yeah.
hovering over.
Even now, I don't even know I'm doing it. I have a finger on the clutch. But at the Northwest, when the Kawasaki's came over, 1975, I actually knocked 7 mile an hour off the lap record, purely because they hadn't had a superbike there.
Mm-hmm.
And the tyres were just falling apart. You go down the back straight, and you suddenly feel it vibrate, and you stop to Metropole, and there are big chunks out of it. So they had to put nitrogen in the tyres to
Keep them cool.
to make it work. Yeah, I mean we were doing. I mean now it's fairly.
So why then? Sorry. We've got loads of listeners who are asking the same question to me. Why nitrogen in the tyres?
Because nitrogen is an inert gas. Ordinary air that we breathe in, as you move it about, it gets hot.
Yeah.
So the pressure of the tyre gets higher, and of course then there were cross-ply tyres, not radials, which again generate a lot more heat. So
There we are.
to keep the temperature, and of course, again, what people don't understand, and it's got better now, but the way they built tyres, Dunlop then, they had a carcass, and I remember going to Fort Dunlop in Birmingham and watching these guys make these tyres, and they've got an overall on they've a wooden stick with a roller on it, and they're rolling rubber onto the carcass. And those were racing tyres they were making. So honestly, they were so inconsistent, you wouldn't believe it.
I bet you wouldn't want the Friday batch. It's 12 o'clock.
No.
Sod him off. You've only done half a tyre, Terry. I don't care. Give it a Mick Grant. He'll make it work.
We did a race. We did a match race at Mallory Park, and I lost the front end going around Gerrard's. I stayed upright, and I thought that is not right. We came back, and as true as I'm sat here, there was a cigarette butt stuck out of the compound.
Shut up, man.
Honestly, yeah.
That is class. I'll tell you what. I would love to have been on the Dunlop factory for that dig on.
I think he got
this job.
I think he got the sack.
I bet he did.
Yeah.
I bet he did. I tell you what, we have just totally jumped in. There's a couple of races, you and me, Chrissy. We know who Mick Grant is. I think people for who aren't listening, for people that don't know you, they've crawled out underneath the rock and now they're listening to this podcast. I think it's only right that you give us. We could sit here and talk all night throughout your huge career, but I think you should just give us some quick bullet points of what you've actually achieved. You know what I mean? So you've won TTs, you've won, but you tell me, what have you won?
I've won 5 British Championships. I've won 3 Grand Prix on the Works Kawasaki's. I won the MCN Superbike Championship. I've won the Northwest 5 times. I've won the Macau Grand Prix 5 times.
7 TTs.
Yeah. Whatever.
Put me on a bike.
Are you still the fastest ever 2-stroke lap around the TT?
I wouldn't have thought so. I don't know. I mean, my fastest 2-stroke was in '78. I did 114, which is not.
No, I think Busansi pipped that he was on the Padgett's Yamaha too, 500 thing, which is just where as you know, Clive Padgett's never put a bad bite together, has he?
But
so
what people don't understand, I packed in at the end of '85, and '86 I wrote Stanley Wood's Works 500 Velocette for a lap. Again, the old Velocette thing, but this is a proper trick factory bike that was still painted black. It didn't look for you. It wouldn't look any different. And I went round, and the roads are so much better now that I was nearly flat out all the way around on it. And I came back, and Stanley Woods, the last time he rode that bike was 1939. And I came back, and Stanley said to me, he said, "You've just gone as quick as I went in 1939." I said, "Stanley, you have no idea. In '39, the roads were 30% narrower. They were 100% bumpier. It wasn't tarmacked all the way around. How we got that bike around at 90 miles an hour, 1939, it just beggars belief."
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Which brings me on to the point I was going to make, actually, that the biggest improvement in the Ironman for speeds, whether it be, look at tyres, engines, brakes, whatever, the biggest single factor is the road improvement.
Yes,
you've mentioned this before.
Oh no, it's every thing is that like the TT will always survive because they adapt.
Yeah,
that is the outright truth of it. You know what I mean? And like Gary Thompson risk assess that every year. The whole team, Paul Phillip, the list is endless. How the team that work there, but they are constantly making improvements. They're bringing over riders. They're just constantly thinking, well, we adapt this, even slanted curbs. It is becoming. Yes, it is statistically the most dangerous road race in the world because it's the oldest road race. That's the only reason it's the dangerous one. But they are constantly adapting the safety. And you think, fair play.
But if you did it on mileage, it would be quite safe.
Totally,
it's massive mileage.
Totally, like I like reading getting the end of practice week, and they actually tot up throughout all the riders, all the laps, the amount of miles you cover, and it is a huge number. And you think
So I think I've turned myself.
It's phenomenal.
I think that's another milestone that I seen when I was looking through the history books. Are you not the most? Oh, in fact, no, I'm getting mixed up. Sorry, it doesn't matter. I was going to say we were going to speak to.
It's probably going to be a yes. If you thought of it, it's probably going to be a yes. He's done everything.
Yes, of course it is. It was me. It was me.
So, when you talk about the day, like the day you stopped, if you don't mind me asking, what you woke up on a Sunday or whatever and just went, it's not for me anymore. Yeah. What inspired? Well, not inspired's the wrong word, but what caused the stoppage of your racing?
I packed in at the end of '85. For a couple of years before that, I mean, I stopped when I was 40 years old, so I sort of reached my sell-by date when I was about 35. Because of the TT, I sort of kept on. And although I won the championship, the Superstock Championship in the year I packed in, the writing was on the wall. You know,
Yeah.
I could still put fast laps in, but I wasn't prepared to go through gaps that didn't exist, which I'd always done all my life. And going back to the TT in '85, I was lying third in the senior race. I'd won the production race in the morning. I was lying third in the senior race, and going on the straight before Black Dub, it just collapsed underneath me. And I sat on the side of the road, and I'm not a religious person, with just a broken thumb, that one there.
At the Black Dub.
And I looked up, and I thought, there's somebody trying to tell me something. Because when you're racing motorbikes, you should not be too greedy. You know when there's a time to stop. And
No,
then,
I like that.
pardon?
No, I'm saying I like that. The fact that you're just thinking you can't be too greedy with it. That's a great way of thinking about it, really,
Yeah.
isn't
and
it?
I went to Macau at the end of the year, and the year before I won both races on the RG.
Yeah.
And then I went there that year, and for political reasons, which was hardly worth bothering with, I got the biggest pile of crap to ride that they gave me. I rode the Ciba-Geigy bike that Rob Mack had ridden, and it was awful. It wasn't prepared right and whatever. And I didn't finish either leg. And I just came back, and this noise came out of my mouth. And I was saying to my long-standing mechanic, right, that's me done. And I just thought, who said that? And it was me. And
Really?
It was done, absolutely finished, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, after that particular moment, was it a case of did you still want to be involved? Because obviously you're heavily involved in motorsport,
Well,
regardless.
yeah.
Now, is it a case of
Did you go straight into being a team manager?
yes, I.
For 2 years, I was working for Suzuki getting people into showrooms.
Right.
Which was the first year was good fun. The second year it was boring as hell. And then, but the deal when I packed in, there was a lovely guy in charge of racing at Suzuki called Dennis Rowan, and I flew back from Macau, and I'd already decided with my missus that I was going to ask for that much money that would tell me to take a walk. So I didn't want to do it, but I hadn't the balls to say I don't want it. And I went in the office, and Dennis said to me, he said, Mick, you've had a good career. I'd like to be the person that just sees you stop. I said, what you got in line? I said, well, I want you to do this promotion and do that. I said, you got a deal? He said, you what? I said, that's just what I wanted. So we did, for 2 years I did the promotions, and then the idea was that there was a lovely guy called Rex White who was the team manager for Suzuki. Rex was retiring, and I took that job over, which is another story. And then, from then, I did that for 2 years with Whittam and Phil Meller and people. Then I had a year and a half off doing nothing, which I quite enjoyed. And then I got not lumbered. I was technical director for BSB for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then halfway through the second year, I met a guy called Russell Savory, who was Sanyo Honda, and he said, will you come and team manage for me? So I team managed for Russell for quite a while, until about 2004.
God.
And then packed in.
And packed in again.
And it was wonderful. You know, racing the motorbikes, if you're a team manager, if anything goes wrong, it's your fault. If anything goes right, somebody else takes the benefit from it. So it's a no-win situation.
Yeah. And one autobiography I read and I really enjoyed, James Whittam's autobiography, and he was talking about when he first got onto the sort of Suzuki team, and you were the team manager back then.
Yes.
How was it sort of guiding Whittam through his early days?
We had the most, when it comes to the teams I've been with, that particular, with no money, absolutely no money. But there was James. Right at the beginning, there was James, there was his mechanic Butch Cartwright, and me. And I'd be up till 3 a.m, machining titanium bolts and making lightweight gear, and Butch would be doing the engines. And we all had a similar sense of humour.
Aye.
And it was absolutely brilliant. Even when the times were not going good, we still found humour in it, and it was good, just good fun.
But Butch has actually been my crew chief before. He listens to the podcast, so you'll
Has he?
be chuffed to get a shout out.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, brilliant. And then did it develop into a two-man team, or was it just Whittam?
Well, then we had Phil Meller, who unfortunately got killed in the Isle of Man, and we had a couple of guys on RGVs. That was quite good. But we just finished. When I took the team over, as I took the team over and Rex retired, we got, I think it was Old Holborn, it was, and we were going to get £1 million over 3 years. And so I thought that were okay.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Back then, that was a lot of money.
It's a lot of bloody money now, man.
And And Roger Marshall was obviously a right good mate of mine. He went to the Swansea in Australia, and he said to me, because he'd had a crap TT on the production bike, he said, Mick, whatever happens, I will not ride a production bike next year. I said, that's fine, we've got money to run the Grand Prix bikes, that's all right. And well, Roger was in Australia, it all went wrong. Completely wrong. And I don't know if I should tell you this story, but
Go on.
Go for it.
Go on.
oh, we might as well.
Good lad.
Right, so what happened then is the guy who was in charge of, it was Old Holborn, the guys who were in charge of that had an issue with the guy who was team manager, whose name I'll not mention, with Suzuki. And when he realised who actually was brokering the deal, he said the deal's off. I said, oh, I couldn't believe it, just completely off. I said, well, if you've made your mind up on that, would you keep the money in the sport and give it to another team? Oh yeah, of course we would. So I set up a meeting in the hotel in London with Alec Wright, who was Colin Wright's dad from Kawasaki.
Right.
I rang Alec and I said, Alec, do you want £1 million? Yeah, that'd be nice. Yes, please.
Simple as that.
So I said, right, we've got a sponsorship. I said, we can't have it. I don't want to see it leave the sport.
Yes.
So will you take it on?
Let's call it 10% in the back pocket.
That's it. We'll pull that out in cash over the next 7 weeks.
I didn't. What I'd done earlier.
You thought about it, but you didn't. That's why we like you, Mick. Now, come on, we're all friends here. We're all friends.
No. Earlier, a couple of years earlier, I gave them my factory 500 on behalf of Kawasaki to the Bewley Museum. And I said to Alec, I said, if you get this deal through, just give me that bike back, because that's just what I wanted, that would have been okay. Anyway, so we went for a meeting in London. We went through all the logistics and whatever else. And of course, Alec, you won't know Alec, will you?
I've heard the name.
I know
Colin.
Real character.
Again, Colin listens to this as well, but...
Yeah. Well, I don't think Colin mustn't know about it. And we get through everything, and it's all organised. And right at the end, I'm thinking, oh, thank God that's all gone right. And then the guy from Old Holborn says, well, obviously, the other thing he says is, the bikes will be black and orange. And Alex said, no, the Kawasaki's are green.
And how did that...
£1 million gone.
You're joking.
Honestly.
For a colour.
Yeah.
For a colour.
Yeah.
£1 million.
I admired Alec for it, but...
I admired him. That's a strong word in those situations. Wow.
And did you end up getting your Kawasaki from the machine?
No.
Did you get your 10%?
No. I got sod all.
Oh, for God's sake.
But it's a lovely story, isn't it?
That's upsetting.
Now, speaking of bikes, we mentioned the fact you parade John Chapman's bikes quite often.
Yes.
And he's got a beautiful collection. What's your favourite John Chapman bike that you like to parade?
Well, I like the MV, but obviously it didn't work well this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But
you see, it just has a little bit of just little niggly bothers with that. And when it's going, it's on point, isn't it? So
that's the Italian one. He's got another one that we normally do Goodwood on.
Was that the Black Eagle bike then, or was it? No, there's two. Oh no, he bought. The SI. Yeah. Sorry, John will be listening to this going, "Don't you dare say that name on here." No. That's a different story for another time. Anyway, yes. So the MVs, you enjoy riding.
I enjoy those. When we take them to Goodwood, we've had a chance to run them, but of course this year we haven't run anything. And the Italian one we had here, it's just been rebuilt. I mean, it was my fault. I should have got on it and just ridden it up the road a bit. I couldn't. When I got my gloves on, I couldn't turn the handlebars. Mountside hairpin, I did a 3-point turn, and then.
Well, at least you didn't drop the thing. There you go.
No, that's right. No, and then the clutch didn't work properly. It was juddering. So, and it's a real high first gear.
Yes.
Oh, it was the hardest 3 laps I've ever done in my life. But then today I rode the Moto 2 bike, which was just absolutely gorgeous.
I bet that thing was full factory compared to what you've ridden in the back. So what's been your favourite race on your favourite bike? What's been your favourite, we're talking, you could be battling for 10th or 1st. What has been your favourite moment racing? My
favourite moment racing? Difficult, really. I think winning my first Grand Prix on the 250 Kawasaki at Assen was...
Was that a breeze, or was that a fight to the bitter end.
Who was in that race?
It
Like, big
was-
names.
At the time, there would be obviously all the top, Jon Eckerold, Corky Ballington, a lot of French guys, Spanish guys, or whatever.
Corky was your teammate at one point, wasn't
Yes,
he?
he
Do you
was,
keep-
yeah.
Do you keep in touch with him?
No, if we see him, there would chat, but no, he's on the other side of the world, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's on his head all the time, isn't he?
But and that was your first Grand Prix. When was your first Isle of Man TT win?
Yeah, what inspired you to go to the TT?
What inspired me to come to Scarborough? You just get a buzz out of it, don't you? Yeah.
That's the quickest, most honest answer going. So it was a case you saw it and went, that's a bit of me, that.
Yeah, that's right.
As
yeah.
simple as that.
Yeah.
You did your first couple of laps and went, I need 10%. No, I mean, I'm going for it. There you are.
When did you take your first TT win?
It was 74 on a Slippery Sam, which is probably the most famous production bike in the world, and it's also the most cheating production bike in the world.
In what respect?
In what respect? Come on.
Well, it had a factory engine in it. But the thing is, whoa, wait, hang on a minute. Everybody was doing the same. There was no scrutiny like there is now. So everybody was. It was just like same as everybody else's.
Good justification. I like it.
I get it. Wait, he's right though, isn't it?
And-
It's not cheating
and
if
I-
everyone's doing it. There you are.
I had nothing to do. All I got to do was tweak the handle. And and I rode with Les Williams was the guy that built it, and I didn't meet Les until I got to the Isle of Man on the Monday, and I broke my scaphoid at Brands Hatch at the Transatlantic earlier, a couple of months earlier, and I got a cast on my arm. And when Les saw me, he was absolutely horrified. And we finished up. The bike was good. I couldn't bend my wrist, so I had to roll the throttle like this. But
Full on, full off. Full on, full off.
but the most frightening thing was we had a Le Mans type start. 80 bikes being you run just like Goodwood, pitter patter, and hope to God it starts because you don't want to be at the back end of the grid.
No.
Going down Braille, 80 riders. It was just suicidal.
It's insanity.
Absolutely suicidal.
That's fantastic. Isn't it? That's brought us back when men were men. Now we've got 10 seconds. We're all like a bunch of soft shy. Oh, there you are. Everyone take the time and off they go. My God, that's outstanding.
But at the time you didn't see it as being, it wasn't a nice situation to be in, but it didn't seem that bad. But I mean now, well,
You wouldn't dream of it.
it wouldn't happen.
It just simply would not happen. There you go.
I presume you'll have crossed paths with Barry Sheen quite a lot over the years.
Yes.
What was Barry like on a more sort of personal level?
All
Did you have a good relationship with
Yeah,
him?
yeah. I wouldn't honestly say we were great friends, but we go out together occasionally. I mean, Steve Parish was Barry's real buddy. But we had some good races around here. We had good races all over the place together, really. And of course, well, he was on the factory Suzuki, I was on the Kawasaki's.
I've been to a few chat shows with Steve Parish. He's got some right good stories. His son boy. You sometimes do sort of chat shows with him and stuff, don't you? And,
Well, we did a chat show down at Brooklands last year, and we just had a ball. But Parish over the years has had me over so many times. But we went to Macau. It must have been, I don't know when it would be, maybe in the early 80s. And it wasn't. It was maybe 77. I was on the Kawasaki, and I didn't stay in the garage with everybody else. I went to the Kawasaki dealership, and they'd look after me, and we had the bike in the window, and it was great. And the partner for the Kawasaki dealership was a Portuguese policeman, and he was a real hard nut with a gun down on his ankle. You wouldn't want to tangle with him. And
I like the sound of this guy.
So we said, like, Parish had just had me over for something. So we planted some flour, some talcum powder in a plastic bag in his suitcase.
Shut up, man.
In the hotel. And this copper bangs on his hotel door. Raid. Stevens opens the door. What do you want? He said, we've reason to believe you've got some illicit powder in your suitcase. Oh, no, I haven't. Have a look. And of course, they opened the suitcase up, this big bag of talcum powder.
That is fantastic.
Oh, it was fantastic.
What was
And
it?
we're all downstairs pissing ourselves laughing, you see.
I
all
bet you-
this.
God, when did he fess up, or was it immediate fess up? I would have committed
Oh, no,
to that joke for a few years.
He believed it would climb a sinker. And so what the copper did, he said, right, well, I've got to get reinforcements. So he got the handcuffs on him and handcuffed him to the end of the bed.
That is fantastic.
So Stavros and he dragged the bed over to the telephone in the room. He got Dave Johnson's mechanic. He said, "Dave, I'm in the shit. Bring a hacksaw."
Bring a hacksaw. I'm about to do a bump in Macau.
to get the handcuffs off. By the time it saw halfway through it, well went up there. Oh, it was so funny.
Oh my! Does he mention that in his chat show?
Well, I'm sure he wouldn't. No.
I'll tell you what.
I'll
tell you what. I'm gonna go to one of his chat shows. Just kind of something to do with narcotics in a bedroom. What's all this about, young'un?
Do you know, looking back over your career, do you have your fondest memories thinking of like the one, like say the TT or Macau or Grand Prix, or do you look more fondly on one than the other, or do you just sort of look back and enjoy them all?
Not really. I was in it for 19 years. And it's very hard. When people like yourself ask, "What's your best race?" or I don't know. I've just had
that many.
I've just had a ball. I've really enjoyed it.
And right now, obviously, you're involved with Oliver's Mount and
Yes.
getting it back with Eddie and Andy.
Yes.
And is that your only involvement in the sport right now, or do you have other
No,
strings to your bow?
that's all really. I mean, when it sorry.
Oh no, carry on.
When we realised, I mean, Peter Hiller was a real. I still like Peter. Peter, it went wrong because his health was bad and he lost control of it, and it's just really sad. But when we realised that we were going to lose Oliver's Mount, because it had so much affinity with the place, we couldn't see it disappear. So I rang Eddie Roberts, who'd rescued Mallory Park, and Eddie said he'd come and do it. So we went to see the council and we got things sorted out and we got it up and running. But neither of us see it at the age we're at. It's not a career. It's not a career thing we're looking at. We just want to see the place up and running well, and then let somebody else have it.
Right.
I mean, to me, it's a busman's holiday, but we couldn't see Oliver's Mount disappear.
And I must say, you've done as a collective, you've done.
Like everyone involved with this.
We had Sean Dalton on the podcast. It was this time last year, I think.
It was a year ago. That's mad. Obviously, all the announcements and all the newspapers were coming out, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
What's your vision for this then? This place?
You beat me to that. I was going to say, because you factory lads were here, so. You've asked the right question. What do you want from this?
Well, I mean, when we came, we sort of spent £100,000 on safety. It needs more. It needs a new, start box. The big tower's falling apart. It just needs money spending on the infrastructure to bring it up to. But like Gary Thompson from the ACU, we said it's the safest road race in Europe, in his opinion. So, and we've sort of achieved that in a fairly small amount of time. And when we saw the guy crash at the memorial on Saturday, you realise that it was really money well spent on Recticel, because without that he wouldn't have survived it, for sure he wouldn't.
Yeah, and we've got to say, after a fabulous meeting, and there has been a couple of crashes, but everyone relatively safe.
Hey, listen, whenever you race motorbikes or walk your dog, you're always going to get a freak accident.
Of course you are.
You can't help that.
Of course you are.
But like you say, there's safety measures being put in place, even though I had a few big crashes, no serious injuries, which is an amazing credit to you.
And the thing, the reason I could actually justify being a team manager involved in a dangerous sport is that these guys are going to do it anyway, because it's just what's inside you, it's what makes you tick. And if you can be involved and you've had a lot of experience, I can justify being there, because maybe I can make it a little bit safer by giving a bit of advice, a bit of experience to it. If you couldn't justify that, then I wouldn't be involved in it.
No, I totally agree. But who would you want to see race around here? Don't get me wrong. Dean Harrison here, senior TT winner. Lee Johnson, super sport. You've got the Birchells going around on the sidecars. You've got some seriously top lads. Obviously, Lee and Locker. You've got the RC Express wagons down there.
In one word, Hickman.
Right. How are you going to get Hickman here then?
I don't know.
Work in progress.
No, because you've got a vision.
It's like fishing. You've got to just get the right bait on the end of the rod, haven't you?
That's it. Because the Isle of Wight's starting up and everything, and the thing is, history's taught us, if you want the rock stars here, you want the big names here, it comes down to that one thing: money and cheddar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a bit like, what do you need? You, Eddie, Sean, the whole team, everyone. How much money do you think you need in the pot to get essentially a miniature TT here, because Hickman. Well, I don't know. We've had Hickman on the show, and we'll have to bring him on again and ask him would he want to come here. But it's all about the infrastructure.
I think what you've got to realise is that although it's motorcycle racing, it's basically an entertainment.
Yes,
I mean, quite honestly, if you could, beyond my wildest dreams, you get Valentino Rossi to come and parade on his M1.
Yes.
You wouldn't need anyone else here.
No, you wouldn't. No, it
is an entertainment. So it's a matter of really getting a balance.
I think what was really nice as well is to see the demographic of the fans here. There's lots of families, people with the dogs, I mean, luckily we've been blessed with gorgeous weather today, so it's been, even if you weren't a bike fan, it would have just been nice to be up on the mount, but watching good racing. And what was the limit on the fans for this weekend?
We were limited to 3,000.
3,000.
And the scary thing was on the last Friday, 2 days ago, there was still talk about the health and safety stopping us running. So it's been quite stressful all weekend, really.
Obviously, the Prime Minister tomorrow, so we're recording this on a Sunday after all the race, and the Prime Minister might just say stop play after all this. So this is kind of the last night before your wedding, isn't it? So there we go. We've had a hell of a ball. And
a week later, we'd have been in bother.
I bet. Yeah. I absolutely bet.
Do you keep track on, obviously you'll be focused on Oliver's Mount, but are you still interested in, the rest of the bike racing? Do you watch like BSB and the rest of the road racing?
I haven't been to a BSB meeting for 4 years, but I feel like a spare part if I go, because I've always been actively involved as a team manager. So I've no interest in it. I'll watch it on telly. I love MotoGP. I love Valentino Rossi. And I'll sit and watch all that on a Sunday. I mean, my biggest fun I get these days, I ride my trials bike every weekend competitively. I'll go and do a trial on a Sunday, come back, and then have a Sunday dinner, and then put the MotoGP on and watch it all through.
Sounds like a perfect Sunday.
That sounds hellish to be fair.
Fabulous weekend.
With Boasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Boasty on the podcast a while ago. And do you go over to the flat track school? Do you ever do
I've not done the flat track school, no.
I fancy a bash at that.
No,
like I say, I saw him ride a bike last year. You'd be a beast at him, like flat, like full balls to the wall, young, and I'm just bop straight in.
I'm actually thinking about doing a bit of trialing myself as well. Was it difficult to go from the speed of road racing? Did it take you a while to adapt to the sort of?
I've always preferred trialing to road racing.
Really?
The only reason I went road racing is I've been at college. I got a Velocet, which you don't know what it is. It's a black thing.
You better Google it.
It's a black thing that makes a lot of noise. I got that on the road, so I couldn't afford a van or anything like that. So I just put a straight pipe on it, made a little racing seat to look the part, and I went racing with it. Otherwise, I'd have probably been, as it was called then, scrambling, which is now called motocross. So I've always been, touch wood, fairly lucky. I've made the right decisions for not the right reasons often, but I've sort of come out the other side.
And speaking of that, look, do you have any regrets in your careers? Anything that you look back and you wish, I wish I hadn't done that?
Oh, crikey, yeah.
What's your biggest one? You're thinking, if I just did that?
We had, it's too long to go into here, but in 1975, we raced at Ontario in America on the works 250 Kawasaki's, which then were not very good. And I finished third behind Kenny Roberts and my teammate Yvonne de Hamel, Canadian guy. And I've then gotten to the Japanese and said, look, this bike, it's so good. It vibrated like hell. They haven't got it right, but potentially it was good. It eventually came back at the beginning of 1977. And I had a team manager who we didn't get on. It wasn't, probably a bit like Dovey and Matey Boy. And at the time, he said, right, I had a teammate called Barry Ditchburn, who I got on well with. I didn't have a problem with Barry. But it was two companies, three's a crowd, and I was the odd guy out. And Barry didn't like road racing. So, when we did the TT and the Northwest and all these things, Barry was a bit out of it. And I think Shenton, the team manager, Barry was his protege, and it just didn't work out, and we had a few fallouts. So for 77, they sent the 250 Kawasaki's over to do the Grand Prix. They sent the Japanese mechanics. And Shenton said, right, for the first half of the year, Ditchman's going to do the Grand Prix, and you'll do the second half. I said, well, that's crazy, because the bike is that good. And I'd done Grand Prix, most of the circuits on my private bikes, so I knew where I was going. Barry hadn't. I said, it's crazy. And my one regret is that I didn't. I went along with it, and I should never have done, because we got to halfway through the season, and we actually went 2 Grand Prix past the middle before I even got on there, which wasn't fair. I went to Paul Ricard, and I qualified 3rd quickest, and the bike, the clutch went on the line. Then I went to Assen, and I remember being in the hotel with the Dunlop technical guy, a guy called Dave Buck, who was a right good mate of mine. And I'm sat there with Dave and my mechanic Nigel, and I'm again the 3rd quickest in practice. And I said to Bucky, I said, right, tomorrow I'm gonna get 4 seconds gap on the first lap, and I'm going to hold it to that for the full race. And I could see him looking at me as if, what's this guy talking about? But I don't know if it's happened to you or not, but there's just been occasions in my life when I've known it's going to happen.
That's how it's happening, yeah.
And I was so wound up with this guy. And again, this is gospel truth, and you won't believe me, but it is gospel truth. I had a couple of beers, and then me and Nigel, mechanic, who was sharing a room, were going up to bed, and Shenton's in the room with the Japanese. And I can hear him, and he's saying, and Mick's, Barry's at a 3rd place this year, and he's got some championship points. Mick's a dangerous rider, and we've got to. And I was just going to go in and punch him, and then I thought, no, it don't look too good. So I went to bed. And I was shaking all night. I never slept. I was shaking all night.
I bet you were,
I got on the bike the following morning. Of course, then you didn't have warm-ups, you just went on the grid. And I said to Nigel, and because it was push start, I said to Nigel, are those handlebars tight? He said, why? Because I said, I'm going to bend the bloody things. And we had intermediate front and slick rear. And it was just a bit patchy. And I used to enjoy it being like that. And my first lap, I went 4 seconds. I went up to 29 seconds lead. And it wasn't difficult. I was in that sweet spot in my life where
it just flowed.
Like on the first lap, it went completely sideways. And where you normally think, all I was thinking is, this is costing me time. I wasn't going to fall off it. It was just costing me time. Just a magic feeling. And at that time, Assen, it was a lot longer circuit than it is now. And we had radio control between halfway around and the pits. So my lap time, the signals were only about 4 kilometres out. And so I was getting plus 29 seconds P1. And then about 3 laps from the end, it started raining. So I thought, 29 seconds, I could afford to lose 3 seconds lap and still be comfortable. So I just knocked it a bit. And I came round the next lap and it said P1 plus 29. I'm thinking, what they're playing at? They can't be going. So I knocked a bit, because it was raining a bit more, knocked a bit more off. That happened twice, 3 times. 3 times it happened. And then I got the last lap board and it said plus 7.
Ooh.
I panicked.
I bet you did.
Like, I couldn't, not logically what had happened. They were catching me and I wasn't getting the right signals. But I didn't, suddenly I'd lost 22 seconds. In a lap.
It's a long lap when it's like that.
My last lap, I lost the front, I lost the back. I don't know how I stayed on it. I really don't. And I won it by 11 seconds. I pulled 4 seconds back, or whatever it is. And I said to Nigel, my mechanic, afterwards, I said, what the hell were you playing out there? This was Shenton. He wasn't giving me signals. He was looking at Ditchman, who was lying 5th, to try and get him up further up the thing. And Nigel didn't really latch onto it. He used to realise the last lap. And, that was the first Grand Prix that Kawasaki had ever won. And with the 250. And Shenton didn't come and say well done or anything. Didn't come to the prize presentation on the night or anything. He just come back to England in the car. And it wasn't a nice situation to be in.
No.
And I really pissed him off the next weekend because I won in Sweden.
Fair play, mate. Fair play.
But there you go. I don't normally blow my own trumpet, but occasionally...
That's outstanding, that one,
yeah,
to be fair.
Sorry about that.
Don't be daft. That's you're our guest. This is what it's about, isn't it?
Okay.
Talking about it. There we go.
If you could pick one bike from your whole career to be mounted on the fireplace in pride of place in the living room, you could have anything in the world, what would it be?
A 350 Yamaha.
The one that you raced?
Yes, because in 73, Yamaha, I mean, in 69 when I was doing club events, I could occasionally borrow somebody's very early 250, and they used to vibrate, they were horrible things, it was season or whatever. And by the early 70s, Yamaha had produced a production bike. You got it out of the crate, it wasn't a lot of money. You put Dunlop tyres on it, you bolted the jet in, and you could go and win a British Championship on it.
Imagine that now. Imagine having that opportunity now. That would be phenomenal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want, like, looking at what you're seeing now in MotoGP, do you think racing is theoretically easier in some ways? Or do you think it was, like, harder in your day? Because, like you say, that was proper. You could buy a competitive bike in a box, put some slippers on it,
Yeah.
and you went.
Yeah.
Now, in my book, in my head, that makes it a lot harder. Would you not agree on some terms like that if everyone's on the exact same bike?
I think that what you've got now, you've got so much help with the bike
Yes.
that the bike's a lot easier to ride, which means that the racing's closer, but the cream will still rise to the top. Whether it be 73 or 2000, the cream will still rise to the top.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
It doesn't really make a lot of difference, if I'm being honest.
That's it, yeah. Just a good pilot's a good pilot, full
Yeah.
stop, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Throughout your whole career, who's the most talented person that you've ever hit? Like, someone's done something on track with you and you've just thought, like, I can't understand how they've just done that.
that could be even now, you know what I mean? You're looking at someone now going,
Well,
holy crap.
in my career, it would be Arno Saarinen, who was...
I'm not going to lie to you, I've never heard that name.
Do you know what? My old team manager, this is one that I do and you don't. My old team manager, John Davies, his email address is Jarno something from
Right.
in it. That
Well,
was his hero.
Arno Saarinen was obviously a Finnish guy. He was an engineer, quite a clever engineer, and he rode the factory Yamahas, and he was killed at Monza in a crash with another Italian who you've probably never heard of, called Renzo Pasolini, who was riding the Benelli. And they both crashed on the Curva Grande. But Jarno came to Scarborough. He had the factory tackle, which would be a year in front of what we had, so it was better gear. But he was so quick. I remember at Silverstone, the Grand Prix, we were going around together, and my father, he was in the stands, and he was that excited, he got 2 cigarettes lit at the one time.
Speed
But-
smoking.
And I could have told him that 2 laps from the end that Jarno would like the blue touch paper and he'd go on. And Jarno came to Scarborough, and I thought, right, I've got you here. This is my
backyard.
This is my backyard. I'm going to have you. Unknown to me, and of course, he's totally professional. He'd hired a bike from a bike shop in Scarborough, and he'd done dozens and dozens of laps around here. And I finished second to him, but I didn't see which way he'd gone.
Really?
It was just awesome. He got so much talent. So much talent.
My God.
If you could organise like a reunion of like a hypothetical reunion, so riders
A proper piss-up.
alive today, but also who are no longer with us, and you could pick five
I like it.
people, so 5 riders, so they could be alive today, or but you're not in touch with them, or they could have passed away. Who would you love to have a good catch up
Even
with?
people that we may
Well,
not even heard of.
It happens. I mean, obviously Whittam would have to be there. Plater would have to be there.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
I'll play it like
I'm so surprised.
No. The only reason I say that, I've seen Plater with a couple of drinks down him. You know what I mean? He's a proper good lad. But the thing is, he's always he's the front man, isn't he? He's always Ducati Tri Options. He's a busy man all the time. But
He's like an amateur parish. He's wicked when it comes to playing tricks.
Fantastic.
This
is good to hear. This is good to hear.
We were down in the south of France doing the 24-hour race for Honda, and we got a really nice, typical Honda. We got this Chateau We got a swimming pool and all that sort of. The bike was crap, but the facilities were good.
So who cares about the bike parking up?
And they'd all be swimming in that. And I got a red face because I always get a red face when it's sunny. And with no air conditioning because it's an old house. And I'm in bed and it's stinking hot. So I've all the clothes off. I'm just stark bollock naked. I just lay there. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sort of half asleep and I can hear some slates rattling and I forgot all about it. Anyway, come about 3 months later, we had our annual Christmas party down in Hoddesdon in this Indian restaurant. And there's all the top brass from Honda there. And I'm stood up and I'm taking the piss out of Mara Brown and Steve Plater. And doing a really good job of it, I thought. And they both stood up, opened the jumpers up, and they got a T-shirt on with me absolutely stark bollock.
You're joking.
Like a little embryo. That is Plater.
Oh, fair play, Plater. Then there we go. So I've interrupted you. So we got. Hold on,
Sorry,
we got.
I would want helmet. I'd want helmet Fath. We've never heard of. You must read up about him.
Right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, when Helmut died, there were maybe a line and a half in Motorcycle News. When Evel Knievel died, there were about 5 pages, and all he'd done were crash bloody motorbikes. It just seems so unfair, you know.
Yeah.
Who else would that's four.
That's 3. Oh, it's
4.
3, isn't it? 4.
I,
We've got 4.
I need another one. I wouldn't eat Phil Reed.
Right.
Because Phil is a fool to himself because he always says the wrong things and upsets people. But he's a lovely, lovely guy. And when you look at the results that Phil's had, he was 8 times world champion. Mm-hmm. He's beaten the factory Yamahas with his own bikes. And again, when he won the world championship in 71, 72, Helmut Fath was his tuner. Yeah. And he was so clever. I remember in the Isle of Man, I was struggling at the time to get around the 13th milestone. And I wasn't in the 350 race, so I went there to watch. And Reedy was just 15 miles an hour quicker than anybody else. And he's just so smooth. If you want to be a multi-world champion, it's quite simple. You need 100% want and you need 100% ability. I had 100% want and 80% ability. Reedy had 100%. Agostini had 100%. Kenny Roberts had 100%. I hate him.
I know exactly. Yeah, I have days like that as well. So there we go. No, but that's a very honest evaluation
I've
of that.
actually got a big poster in my bedroom signed from Phil Reed. It was like my 18th birthday,
right?
And there was quite a controversial year, wasn't there, where Phil won it was the 250 and the 350 in the same year.
Yeah.
Was it not something to do with he made a deal and then on the line it sort of changed?
I changed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Phil was. It was 100%.
I think I've told you
focused.
about that story.
Aye, that was
Who
brilliant.
was the guy that he was battling with?
Bill Ivey.
Bill Ivey,
Yeah.
And it came down, and one of them.
It doubled the
And it was they were basically both battling for the 250 and the
That's
350.
right. Yeah, and one was having one was having the other one, and
They sort of pre-agreed,
yeah.
And then
Phil has got a very bad memory, forgot. But my first ride abroad was on the John Plain Norton, which is basically commando, and we went to France to a meeting in just outside Paris, around this market called Rungis, and Phil looked after me. I was like a country bumpkin, I hadn't a clue, you know, and he looked after me. You don't forget things like that, because he'd no need to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In fact, at the same meeting, there was a guy called Kent Anderson on a 350 Yamaha factory bike. There was Agostini on the 500 MV. There was Reedy and me on the Works Nortons. And obviously it's a push start. And it's round this market called Rungis. And Reedy was saying to me, he said, right, we probably won't start as quick. He says, Anderson will be the first to end that pushed out the 350. I go as fairly quick. So we'll be somewhere. We were sort of about second or third row. He said, whatever you do, Mick, because there were 3 hairpins before you go onto the main drag. He says, you've got to outbrake everyone in the first lap, because if you don't, we're going to be snookered. So I've got this firmly fixed in my head, because Phil Reeder was then maybe 5 times world champion, had told me, so I was going to outbrake everybody in the first lap. Then it was a French market, so what they'd done, that heaped these rows of rubble up and put tarmac on them, and they've got the sheds on these for holding the vegetables and that, and they just tarmac the road, so it's like a switchback. Well, I've never been any good at counting, and we only had 2 practices. The first practice, it was raining, and I didn't really get my way around it. I've always been crap at learning circuits. The second practice, the Norton was misfiring, which is fairly normal, so I didn't get a proper run at it. So the flag dropped, and by fluke, my Norton started at first. It just went. So Anderson was leading, Aggo was second, and I was third. I thought we're on it here. And we're going on the first 2 or 3 corners, and then we're going over these switchbacks. Well, he went over the first one, and the bike was just about light. He went over the second one, and it was off the floor. And then over the third one, the MV's just in front of me, and it starts braking. I thought, the fool is braking one too early. I'd miscounted. So I went over the third one, honestly, I was 6 foot in the air, and I came down on Agostini. I just dive bombed him, the pair of us went off into the bales.
And you wouldn't have been a very popular man.
I wasn't very popular.
I bet you would.
No, I wasn't very popular.
I bet. Well, I tell you what, last question from me before we'll wrap things up. Obviously, everything that you've achieved in the sport, is there anything left on the bucket list that you want? Before you pop your clogs, is there anything
that is...
Yes, very...
Before you pop your clogs.
No, fine, yeah. I want to be
Prime Minister.
World champion at trials riding. I've left it a little bit late because I'm only just at club level, but yeah. That would be nice.
Oh, well, when I get a trials bike, like if you recall, and
he's going to smoke you by the sounds of it. There we go. Fantastic.
But thanks so much for your time coming on Chasing the Racing, powered by Colchester Kawasaki.
I was about to say,
really
this is perfect sponsorship, isn't it? This is Mr. Kawasaki.
Mr.
So there we go. Fantastic.
And,
yeah,
fantastic. Brilliant. Really appreciate your time. I know you're busy and you've got meetings and stuff. So yeah, really appreciate you coming on. And yeah, thanks again on behalf of all the race fans in England. Thanks again for all the effort you've put into getting this back going, because it's a real gem, and I've actually only just started coming since you've taken over. I don't have any experience from the old days,
right.
But I think it's a great meeting, loads of potential. The racing's been fantastic, and roll on next year.
You've got to go and look at some history books and find a Velocet.
I will do. That's the first thing.
God.
And you've got, is it Helmut
Faff.
Helmut Faff.
Helmut Faff, there you go.
So there's some names.
Fantastic guy, yeah.
Next time in the new year, there'll be a test with Mick Grant here live on Chasing the Race, and there you go. So what do you know, when do you know it, and how do you do it? So, but honestly, thank you so much for coming on, and yeah, we'll catch you. I hate to say it, but enjoy your winter. It's coming to the end of the season. It's terrible, but no, thank you yet again, and we'll see you in the new year.
Take care, Mick.
Okay.
Cheers. Thank you.
Click, buy, deliver with the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester, Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.
Shamao.
So back in the studio.
It's been a while since
mate,
that one.
I tell you what, mate. Get the light on. Come on, studio.
Let there be light. There we go, Chrissy. There we go.
For the old YouTube viewers, we're back after Scarborough. It's Monday night, so we've both been at Graft all day, and we're going to do a little quick catch up on the weekend, because obviously it was great to have Mick on, but he was in a bit of a rush to get off, so it was great to get his his crack. But then we thought we could just keep the roundup from the weekend till Monday.
I tell you what though, right? If teaching doesn't do it for you and motorcycling, you lose the passion for it. You could always pick up a job as a DJ. I tell you what, you are wrecking that plate, young. And obviously we've got a little voice recorder in here, and it's constantly adjusting. So if that Mick Grant episode comes out a little bit sketchy, it was just
fault.
Well, no. Well, no. Hey, Chrissy, if you weren't doing it, would both be stuffed, young. And I'm telling you that for a fact. It was just like, can you hear me? Can you hear you? And there's Mick Grant. Yeah. This is my life story, and we're just like wrecking the volume. But hopefully it's come out good there. So
we are.
But hey, I tell you what, that's the first time I've had a proper chat with Mick Grant. In the interview, I was very lucky that I got to see him race around with on John Chapman's beautiful MV Augusta, absolutely beautiful, and he was teammates with Gary Johnson. I tell you what, right, that lad is hungry as ever to be on a motorcycle, and it's absolutely great to actually sit down and have a proper chat with him. And I'm going to be honest, I was expecting a bit more head up of his own arse, out of his huge career, what he's achieved, what he's done. You're thinking, oh my god, here comes the ego train. It was just such a nice interview, wasn't it, Chrissy?
There was a few of them on the parade laps. Obviously, John McGuinness was out on his Kawasaki that he was supposed to be racing the TT this year.
Yeah.
Mick Grant was out on the Moto 2 bike and a few others. But
what the John's Respel Honda one?
Yeah.
Is that who was on that one?
That's it, yeah.
Right,
and
right.
But there was a few of them that didn't look like they wanted to come in because obviously the weather was good and tyres were being nice and sticky and they looked like they were having a bit too much fun, really.
I tell you what though, the last time they had good weather like that, the lap records were broken, mainly by Dean Harrison again, and those lap records were like 1:46, like high 46s. So that shows the last time they had good weather around there. And it's such a difficult place to get good weather. And what I mean by that is you can have a spell of heat, but that means nothing because as you've seen yourself, Chrissy, it's heavily tree lined. So you get dry bits, you get damp bits, and to actually have a clear lap, the Oliver's Mount there had a very, very lucky turn there, and it made for some great racing.
Yeah, and obviously you mentioned the lap records got smashed, tumbled down. What did they end up at, and who ended up with the fastest lap from the weekend?
I'm trying to think what it was. It was either this is terrible.
It was in the 45s though, wasn't it?
It was in the 45s. I think I'm not even sure. I think there might have been a 44.9.
Right.
A 44.9. So Dean Harrison, he was there. He had not eye surgery, but he had an eye injury from work because he set up his own business, engineering with his brother, and he got a bit of crap in his eye. So he's gone out essentially like a pirate, practically blind, and he's gone round and just been absolutely on top form.
He actually missed quite a bit of the Friday free practice session because he was he had like a shard of metal in his eye, I think, didn't he?
In his eye, so he got that extracted there. But don't get me wrong, his vision was good. It wasn't like he had an eye patch on or anything like that. But still, having an irritable vision, to put it blunt, is not what you want when you go racing motorcycles.
I know when Mick was here, we mentioned there was a few big crashes over the weekend, but luckily no injuries, which is the main thing.
I tell you what, Joe Ackroyd, I'm absolutely heartbroken for the lad. He's we found out on social media he's been very kind, that he's been very open about his injuries, and he's already previously broken his back, which I didn't know, and bless him, he's gone and broken his back again. So coming down in the farm bends, you're absolutely hurling. So you come down Jeffrey's Jump 1-2 and you're still on the gas, and just before you get to the crest, you're just hard on the brakes, really, really banging down 3 gears, then you tip in, but there's like a little jump kind of going into farm bends. Now, previously, the old track used to come down, this is well before my time, it's more Mick Grant's day, that. He'd come down on the start line, but they had to slow down the big bikes when they used to run thousands around there. And they slowed them down by putting in this little chicane. But you can imagine you're coming down from absolutely 6 gear, absolutely on the trunk, down 3.
Is that 6 gear on a 600?
Oh, aye, yeah.
Bloody hell, I didn't realise that.
Oh, aye, so you've come from dead first gear and you're just chucking every gear at it. So you're not topping out in 6, but you're in 6 gear and then you're coming back 3. Then you just tip. Someone's bleeping. One of us is bleeping. Oh God, anything could be happening here. But no, so you're tipping in, going down the hill. But bless Joe, I think I don't exactly know what's happened, but he's high-sided going in. Now I can't exaggerate enough how steep that is. Did you actually have a look at that corner, Chris?
Yeah. There's a big lip right on the apex of the corner, and I was watching the classic scooter bikes there, and as they were dropping down, you can really see the bikes like unsettled. I don't know what it's like riding it, but
we actually jump in, but honestly, the actual steepness of the bank. So Joe, bless him, is high-sided at the top, so the back's obviously disconnected enough. He's come out the saddle, so without over-exaggerating, Chrissy, I know it's chase the race, and we like a little bit of exaggeration, but on an average high side, how high do you think you go? So how high is the seat on a bike? That's a good question, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Oh, you see, we're on the ball tonight. We're running on fumes and we're both knackered, but we're banging out the good questions here. But, so, how high is this average seat saddle height, do you think? Couple of feet?
A couple of feet, aye.
Couple of feet, so...
Maybe 3 foot, yeah.
3 foot.
4. We'll go 4.
You're going... Okay, right, we're going 4 foot here. So your arse is sat down at 4 foot. You're tipping into a corner. So a high side, for people that don't know what one is, it's when you lose total rear grip and then it decides to get grip again. But at that point, the bike is pretty much parallel with the front and you've just gone bang. So it's like snapping matches. Literally, that's how quick it is. So it's come round. So he's gone from 3 foot. He's a tall lad as well. And I tell you what,
because it's downhill, like obviously.
Well, no, I'm thinking. So I'm on an average high side. I tell you what, I bet you're not far off 8 foot.
Mm-hmm.
You know when you think like, I bet that's because what's Connor Cummins? He's 6 foot something, isn't he? He's like 2 meters tall.
Over 6 foot. Yeah.
So when you think 2 meters, over 2 meters, that's Connor Cummins with his hands up.
Mm-hmm.
Now that going downhill, that is based on flat track.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe has come round. We're guessing 8 foot plus the VAT, and he's gone downhill. Now the problem with that downhill is he hasn't exactly, like normally when you jump off
had a cushioned fall.
Well that's it. Normally when you when you were a kid and you used to jump downhill, but obviously gravity used to carry you down, so you almost didn't really get that shock inertia. But like a motocross rider, he's essentially gone into a rut because it bows out when you come back left hard. He's gone that far and that high. He has come to a full-on stationary stop.
So is he relatively okay then?
Well, he's been on face tube and everything like that, and he's keeping everyone up to date. But he's awaiting surgery on his back. So Joe, I tell you what, the lads' times were absolutely howling. He got a ride on classic York Suzuki. They were coming to the TT. Him and Tom Whedon were going to be teammates at the TT. Everything was lining up. Everywhere he was going, he was banging in serious times. You know, like one of them lads, totally on the rise.
Well, that must have been pretty close to you because you were kind of a group at the front, and he was just off the back of you at the time. So
so like Mike Norbury. So I think I'm trying to think. This was the Saturday racing.
Yeah.
I got past Mike, so I was sitting for the third position behind Dean and Lee, and yeah, it was like a big train of us. So I think Joe, there was Mike behind me, then Joe, then Joey Thompson behind him, and it was Joey that saw the crash, and it was like bloody hell. It was very lucky that he didn't. Sorry, it's a lucky unlucky situation, but it's Joe Atteroy to be very very grateful that he didn't get anyone else involved in that. But it's a sport of shit happens, and James Hind. James Hind absolutely flying this weekend, really getting the grips of it.
Yeah,
really getting the grips.
He was pole for pretty much every race on
the Saturday.
Yeah, Friday went absolutely. Saturday qualifying, absolutely smashed it and was on pole on the 600s, the 250s, and the twin as well.
Because on the Friday, it just started to turn damp in the morning, so he really seized the opportunity, made the right tyre choices. No, hold on, was that Saturday morning? It was damp. Anyway, one morning it was damp, so it went back to that greasy, horrible condition. But James absolutely seized the moment. The lad is he's without a doubt a lad to watch for the future. But there is no but in that one. Sorry, I don't know why I even put the word but he's not new to racing. He's been racing a long time, and we'll keep meaning to get on the show, but we keep catching him at the wrong time. He's obviously busy. He's got family commitments, and obviously racing with Lockett. We're trying to get them both on at the same time. But timing's everything, Chrissy, isn't it?
And I tell you what, one thing I wanted to mention as well is watching the 600 race. There was a super twin out there, and Jamie Coward. Obviously, he was we'll get onto it in the super twin race, and was flying. But I was speaking to somebody in his team, and unfortunately, his 600 was stuck over in the Isle of Man. So they asked if they could run the super twin in the 600 race. And I tell you what, he was holding his own. There was that front group with you. And the rest that you just sort of mentioned, and then there was a bit of a gap. And for a lot of the races, Jamie Coward was given Joey Thompson and Tom Whedon a really good run for his money on a twin. And you think, I know it's a tight, twisty track, but even so,
you need the ponies.
It's unbelievably impressive what he was doing on that, and that was obviously giving him a big advantage for the twin races because he was getting so much track time, and he obviously put that to good use. You called it before the weekend and said he's on it, and he rode great. He had a little crash on Sunday morning, I think, didn't he? Crashed out of a race, or DNF'd anyway.
He DNF'd out. No, he crashed out. He just lost the rear. It's just, it's so fast, the place now. It's always been fast, but what's been exciting is everyone's starting to push each other. I'm going to be very blunt. You know, the Counting bike that I'm on is a 13-year-old bike, and like I take the piss all the time. But we're like the satellite team to their factory team. So Simon Bleasdale builds the motors. Him and Kevin Watt, who own the team, they've built a cracking team together. But they are chucking so much at it. I mean, every waking moment they are working on those bikes, and it shows. It's a proper development class now. It's really the only development class left, because super sport you're constricted by, well, you can only do so much with the cams, so much with this, so much with that. And same with the super bikes, but super twin racing, you can do whatever you want, which is like an engineer's open handbook to go, right, let's take the piss. These bikes are really built out the factory just shy of 70 brake horsepower. They're squeezing well over 100 now.
It's unreal, isn't it?
That is serious power, and making them safe and like reliable's the word.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jim Hind. Obviously, he's phenomenal riding over the weekend. Any ideas how he is after his big crash? Because as I was walking down the hill, I heard the race got red flagged, and then as I got down, loads of people were talking about it and said the bike went flying up in the air. And
there's photos on the old social media, but I tell you what, he's a lucky lad, because where he crashed was a bit of a weird spot. And speaking to him after, you know, he was concussed, and he's like, oh, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it was me and Mike Norby going up the hill right after, like we were right behind him, and Mike was in the way of me, so we should ring up Mike and he'll be able to tell us lovely and clear. But he lost it on the left before the right end of the S's. Now, normally you're right at the end of that left before you hit the bump, but where he's lost it was really early. It was a bit of a weird one, really. But he was pushing on, because when you talk about Dean and Lee, you know, you're talking 2 TT winners, and they were like, you know, they know the place like the back of the hand. They were banging out 45s.
And that was in the big race as well, the Gold Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
no, that was in
was that in the morning? I can't remember. It was
that was in the last 6. It's been made. I've had it's been a difficult weekend. It's been a very difficult weekend. It's been filled with ups and downs.
What about yourself? How do you sort of evaluate your weekend?
Lucky, unlucky. That I think we should just call the show lucky, unlucky. That's it. Without like
Go on, we'll go lucky to start with.
Oh
so
God, right. Well,
how were you lucky?
I'll tell you what though. I've got, before we get going, I've got to say thank you so much to the Counting team. Fran and Neil have not stopped working the entire weekend, and it just shows what a team is willing. You know, they have sacrificed everything to get back on the grid. It's been a real eye opener. It's been absolutely fantastic. But like the fast engine that we sat here last time, when I was promised to get a competitive engine, they put it back in the chassis and it's got a rattle, so it was too dangerous to run. I was working for a contractor called Hugh Barris, and I just said, look, I've got to go, and God love him, he just said, right, drop everything. So I drove from Scotland, I drove back to my work unit. I've got a spare ZX6 motor that's done loads of miles, and I thought, right, well, we can jam it in. So I drove down to Scarborough, and then we jammed, like, they already had the engine out. Neil took a day off work, jammed it in, went to the next day, got it on the dyno, but unfortunately, with a kit wiring loom on a ZX6, you have to actually have Windows 7. It's the 21st century, Chrissy, you know what I mean? We're not using dial-up internet anymore. Who uses Windows 7? So went to the dyno. Unfortunately, they couldn't access it, so it was a bolt in straight off the bat. And yeah, it was showing it wasn't as fast as what I paid for, which is damn unfortunate. But that bike had a little bit of gear problem. But even before that, I went down to one of my friends, Spencer Ward, who's an engine builder now. But now he's always been an engine builder. He's actually built engines for the TT, and he's won a few TTs with his engine build. So you know, there's a selector shaft in the gearboxes, but that sheared on us, which caused it, like, that was at Armoy. So he jumped in, he quickly fixed that. Then I went down, they bolted it in, went to the dyno. So I keep mixing. Sorry, I just get excited and I keep missing things between this. So jammed it in, off I went, and it was just like turning up to a gunfight with a knife. You know, I was like, oh no, totally down on power. But
I remember you saying that, and then looking at free practice times, and there was, you topped, I think, free practice 2 on the 600 that day. So you weren't hanging about. You must have been pretty happy with your lap times.
No, totally. We were just massive down on the straights, massively down on the straights. But no, I was pushing through on the corners. Like the counting team built the chassis is fantastic. But that to the side, we got through Friday. I qualified on the 4th row eventually, so like it was Dean, Jim, Lee. I was 4th position on the 600 grid.
4th position, not 4th row.
4th row, sorry, 2nd row, 4th position. That's it. And I went out. But the Sunday the Sunday grid goes off Saturday's times, and lucky for me, I put the 3rd quickest time in of the weekend. And my fastest speed around there has been a 150. I've never been able to get lower than a 150, but I got down to a 47.1. And I was just, mate, if I farted out of the line, I would have got into the 46s. But hey ho. But I tell you what, I did find, Road Racing News published it. I was apparently the 3rd quickest throughout the whole weekend.
Right.
Throughout the whole weekend. So I'm over the moon with that. Absolutely over the moon with that. But
when you think when the 2 people ahead of you are Lee Johnson and Dean Harrison, it's no mean feat to be behind them lads on that bike.
On that bike, yeah. So I'm absolutely over the moon. But I tell you what, Chrissy.
We started this with the lucky bit. So
yeah. It's God. Well, Sunday morning, it just was not. When you wake up and today is just not my day. But I tell you what. So anyway, I went out for warm up. I got knocked off. I got knocked off. Anyway, came down to the bottom corner, lined up with a rider, and the next rider next to us just totally cut the nose off us. But it's that tight of a hairpin. I just had to hit the brakes, and I dropped it. Literally, just dropped the bike, picked it up. I went smashed the screen, and that was it. Wasn't a mark of paint or nothing.
Yeah, we don't call that a crash.
We don't call that. It was a drop. It was a pathetic drop. So, anyway, we got down. Psyched up, went out in the twin race, and I was just too fizzing. I did a crap job on the twin, finished 3rd, but I was like, for God's sake, I was absolutely fizzing. And then went out in the first Super Sport race, qualified 3rd, and I ballsed up the start, and I moved my way back up the grid. And by God, I'm telling you this now, James Counton was looking after me that day. I got in the 3rd position, came down Jeffrey's jumps, absolutely flat stick down the back, 6th gear. Went for my braking marker, no brakes. Nothing. So what I've done is, I've come over the top, got a huge tank slapper, and what happens is if you get enough violence in it, it can move the pads back. So I've come down and no brakes. I've gone well past my braking marker and I'm pumping it, man. I'm honestly, it was like, bump, oh, Jesus. Like, I'm like, that just went, just like, this is going to hurt, this is going to hurt, it's going to hurt. So I tipped in the bottom of farm bands, same spot as Joe Ackroyd, went over the jump, boom, there goes the front, and I've gone hurling through the hedge, young'un. And the bike, lucky for me, see, that's what I mean, it's lucky, unlucky situation. Like, the bike wasn't too bad, and God love the marshals, because they literally, it was like the birthing suite at the Victoria Hospital. They were like pulling out this Ben, like straight out this hedge. I was like, I'm stuck in this hedge, man. And it was just, it was gutting, but I can't thank the marshals enough. They're absolutely great with us. And yeah, we got the bike back to the tent, and they moved heaven and earth to get me back on the grid, mate. Absolutely moved heaven and earth. Fran drove home from Scarborough back to York to get another set of fairings. Swapping screens, swapping clip-ons, but it wasn't actually re-straightened out the exhaust. And we got ready for the Gold Cup. I'm on the front row. Absolutely brilliant. Right, head's clear. Let's go again. Got up right behind Dean Harrison. I'm going into the calf. Guess what? Ran out of brake lever this time. So I'm going into the calf going, I can't stop this. So what happens? On a bike, I'm getting loads of technical issues in tonight. So your brake lever may feel stiff at first, but when you get some genuine heat, you'll feel the same on your bikes. When you get some proper heat through them, you get a lot of sponge, which means that there's a lot of free play in the lever before you get full grip. So I've gone in, and what we found out is the lever was bent in the crash, but I mean ever so slightly. But the turn dial, where you can actually, you've got a turn dial 1 to 6, when they can move in and out, like to give you the preference. So we moved it right out. The bloody dial broke. And we checked the whole bike head to toe, but this was just an unforeseen, mechanical failure within that bolt. So obviously it's come down, sheared that, and that's bust. So it's gone back to 0, and I've come in. So I had to retire from the Gold Cup. Then the next 600 race after that, James Hine had his crash in that one. So we got red flagged. And came round, went to start the line, and my engine's absolutely tinging off the top. Like, honestly, it was sounding like a drop valve. Mm-hmm. Pulled in off the grid, came down. The lads found the problem. It was an exhaust spring tinging. But, like, if you asked Dean and, like, all the lads, everyone was going on the side of the road going, switch that off, switch that off. It was, like, that loud. Mm-hmm. Like, ting, 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 ting. And I'm going, this is just not our day. But I tell you what, I was pissed off, though, because even though everyone was up on the start line, stationary, they wouldn't let me rejoin the race. Mm-hmm. Not even from the back. I was fizzing, mate. I was absolutely fizzing. Because it's like a point system to like throughout the whole weekend for like a championship thing. So I couldn't even go get my points back. Mm-hmm. I thought, yeah, absolutely. You know what? Like, they're stationary, on the line, in a red flag. I've pulled off, got the bike fixed. But rules are rules. I don't know why they didn't let me on, but you know, you got to move on from that, haven't you? But yeah. Oh, but no, it's and then. Yeah, I just went in the last race with a boiled head, and the last race was a Super Twin race, and I just got totally, cooked my head. I was making stupid mistakes, and I'm I got really upset with myself, to be fair, mate. You know, like after that, I went, why the hell was I riding like that? I felt like a right dick. And I was just going, for God's sake. But it's all about lessons learned. Mm-hmm. Lessons learned.
You said that, and yeah, you came so close to getting another podium in that last race. It was like 0.1 second over the line or something.
0.09. Oh, but it was just that. Oh, that little Welshman, man. He just blocks every line you go near him at, man. He's just... No wonder he's won like 1 million races around there. He just knows how to play the game. And he just blocked us and blocked us and blocked us and blocked us. But it was... I fell asleep in the first couple of laps, and I just... You know, I was going down too many gears and missing and that. But like you say, Jamie and Dean Harrison, you know, they just absolutely howled off. And I honestly believe I've got the pace to stay with them. And the Countons are building even the new chassis bike instead of like the ER6 with the old chassis. Mm-hmm. And it's like 10 to 15 kilos heavier. It's like all the brakes, all of this, all of that. The bike is fantastic. It really is. Don't get me wrong. But in that last race, I did not give the bike enough justice. But that's all my whinging on the way. Anyway, that's all my whinging on the way. There you go.
On to the next one. And you're back out next weekend, is it?
Next weekend, no. It's the following weekend down at Pembury. So, like, off to see the Sinclair family, who I've got to give a shout out. I've been meaning to give them a shout out for ages. God love yous. And they'll be sitting there screaming at me for every time, going, "Why the hell won't he give us a shout out?" But he's. I tell you what, Alex Sinclair. He's got Crohn's disease. Which, like, is it Crohn's disease? Yeah, he's got, like, last year at the Manx, he had to go for surgery on his bowels, and he still made it the race. Oh dear. He got his qualifying laps in. He still turned up on the race with half his stomach missing or whatever it is. His colon, that's it. But it was no, so they're all battling for championships, and it's absolutely great. It really is fast stuff. So looking forward to getting down there and try and seal this championship. Yeah,
that's it. And is that on the what will you be riding? 350, 500?
350, 500 for the Davies Motorsport team. So yeah, looking forward to it. But I've also got some exciting news.
Go on.
I've been ordained as an official marshal.
Hey,
there you go. So I tell you what, thank you to Sean Doll. He works his arse off with that Oliver's Mount lot, doesn't he? Him and Haley and the whole team. They do a fantastic job. Absolutely fantastic job.
I like the mugshot as well.
Oh God, I know it's that literally looks like a night out in Ibiza. I think that was a night out in Ibiza, but hey, we've got to move on from these things, man. We've got to move on from these things. But so what's your crack then? You're going to be a busy boy this weekend, aren't you?
Aye, so down to Oulton Park, we're exactly halfway through the BSB season at the moment. So 3 rounds in, 3 rounds to go, and that's 5 races altogether. So 2 more races at Oulton Park, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, and just very much looking forward to it. Obviously, I'm 6 points behind the championship leader, Tom Neve. And just looking for two strong results, and hopefully just do my thing. So yeah, really looking forward to that.
Do my thing.
Are you going to come down for the weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to come and I don't know what use I'm going to be. I'm as useful as a chocolate fire got on. I'm just standing there going, "You can do it." What film's that off? Bet you haven't even seen that film.
I don't think
Someone's
so.
screaming, what film is that? Waterboy? You ever seen Waterboy, Adam Sandler? Chrissy, get an education.
No, I'm
I'm
not
gonna
thinking
write.
films.
I'm gonna write you a list of films. There you go. You literally look like you're running on fumes. Have you had a busy day, son? You're back at school now, aren't you?
I am. I've had about 3 or 4 hours sleep, I think. Or,
Shut up, man.
I am struggling, but we'll motoring through for the people. That's it.
For the people.
Before we shoot, there was a MotoGP race this weekend. I didn't actually
Yes.
get to see it, but I've obviously seen the results.
Did you see Rossi's lid?
Yeah, it was
That
absolutely
is
mega. wasn't it?
absolutely. What's all that about? For people who haven't seen it yet, basically he had a huge Viagra on the top of his lid, like the big blue pill. It was absolutely great. In what context was all that about? I just saw it and just started pissing myself with laughter, to be fair.
Just with his age in it, so it was as if he'd had a bluey and it had its the date for Mugello. So and I tell you what, he came so close to getting another podium.
What happened? Go on, ruin it for me.
Really, really good race. But do you know how he's got the VR46 Academy? So he helps the young lads come through. And it was almost a VR46 podium, which would have been unbelievable. But it was actually Franco Morbidelli who got his first MotoGP race win.
Congratulations.
And he's a lad that went through not the sort of Moto3, Moto2, racing in Spain, that type of route. Years ago, he was back in European Stock 600. Glenn Irwin mentioned when he was doing the podcast that he raced against him in Stock 600 years ago. But he's managed to get his way through, and it started off with Fabio Quartararo as being like the leading, dominating rider in that team, where I'm not sure what the crack is, but he seems to have faded a little bit, and he crashed out of the race actually. But Franco Morbidelli, it was like a dominant race win as well. And then Bagnaia on the Ducati came second, and then like I say, it was all Rossi all the way, and Mir did him on the really late on in the race. Beautiful pass on the inside block pass, and good close race, and it was a weird one, It was a Yamaha 1, 2, 3, 4 in qualifying, so I don't know if it's just a Yamaha track or what, but really good racing. Vinales was on pole by like a good chunk, and he didn't really seem to translate that into race pace. I don't know why, but yeah, all good. And then in the lower categories as well, we had a British win in the Moto3 with young John McPhee. Well, I say young John McPhee's older than me. But he's
the height of a small boy anyway, so there you go. I'll let you go off that one.
But Sterling, I haven't watched the race, but Sterling performance, obviously to win a Grand Prix, unbelievable. And
how many has he won this season, or was that his first one of the season?
I'm not too sure. I think it might even be his first ever.
Shut up, man.
I'm not sure. I can't remember him when. No, he has.
Been in
he
that,
has won.
He's been in that series since God was a lad, so he must have won a few.
And Sam Lowe's absolutely smashed the lap record over the weekend, and he was qualified on pole, I believe. But he had some sort of issue and had to start from the pit lane, but still managed to work his way up through the pack and get a few championship points. But all good.
I'm just writing notes here. I'm trying to be more professional. But I tell you, did you see Cookstown?
No, that's another one. I haven't seen any of the races.
It was absolutely good. And I think we mentioned it on the show. There's 2 road races. Sorry, there's only been 3 road races this year, and they had to collide. The last one had to collide with the Gold Cup in Cookstown. The day before, there was slurry. Like, obviously, the muck spreading on the field. It was covered in crap, mate. I mean, they were putting videos up and stuff like Paul Jordan's Instagram and Adam McLean's and everyone. There was crap the entire way around.
Do you think what is that, like an annoyed farmer doing it on purpose? Or
there's a lot of politics with that circuit with Cookstown now. I think part of the McAdoo family. Now, I'm going to be called wrong on this. But there's a farmer on the corner that hates the racing. Like a couple of years ago, he actually drove out mid-race with a hay bale on the front of the vehicle, and he had the red flag it. He drove out in the middle of the circuit. He almost killed some riders. Oh, he just screams the place down. He hates the racing, and it's just terrible. But there was crap all over. But the organisers did very openly say this is nothing to do with public protest. I think there is crap the entire way around the track. So they did not and then it started to piss down. Like one of our local heroes, Chicken Charlton, he was down there with Bothead and all them lads. So the North, honestly, he's called Bothead. I'm not making this up. This is like Piggy Sugar Tits the lot. Sorry, Bothead, right? Like that's his first, but he's done Scarborough. But
you said that's his first name.
Bothead. There you go. So anyway, Bothead turned up on his R6.
Is he just got a crease in his head or something? Is that why?
No, he kind of looks like a bit of like a tin of pain, to be fair. He's going to kill me for saying that. But no, anyway, Bothead. He's just Bothead. Bothead, he's a Raj. He's meant from Tower. How do you say Towel? Towel, thank God for that. Proper Durham, right? If you ever want to go to Mordor, all of you Lord of the Ring fans out there, if you ever want to go to Mordor, Towel is the next best thing. It is time that land forgot. We are going to get stabbed and burnt here. We're pretty close to the place. But so Towel there. So Bothead's proper first road race. Now Scarborough, it's very, very safe. You've got painted curbs and everything. But Cookstown is raw. It's fast. It is so fast. It is just proper Irish ballsy racing. And Bothead turned up. He was about to sack it all in, man. And I've had enough of racing. I've had enough on the phone. And he was on the phone, absolutely pissed as a fart on the Saturday night because they don't race on the Sunday in Northern Ireland. Very religious part of the world. So they don't race. He was pissed. I love this racing. I love this. He's coming. That's the problem with it. I'll tell you what, Captain Insano, which he doesn't want the name to stick, Ryan Whitehall. So I do apologise for saying Captain Insano. So I'll stop saying Captain Insano because he's not called Captain Insano. So anyway, Captain Insano did a fantastic job. He was absolutely flying around the place. Big shout out to Darryl Tweed. He was teammates with multiple race winner Adam McLean. But he had a big off, broke his hip. Made a right mess of the poor lad. But he was absolutely flying around the place.
Good to see Adam McLean as well after his massive injury get back, and he won at least one race, didn't he?
No, I think he won the best rider of the award meeting, everything like that. He won both Super Sports, getting chased by Burroughs engineer and Paul Jordan. He was absolutely flying. He won all the Super 20, the set lap records. They were absolutely flying. Derek Shields, who actually originally said they wouldn't accept his entry, he actually turned up and he smoked everyone. So and then Sweeney was there and oh my God, I've been looking at you while you're talking to the MotoGP, and there was another lad I've raced against him at Enniskillen riding the ZX10. I'm gonna have to apologise now because I've totally forgotten his name and he'd be killing me when he sees me next. But he was up on the podium, which was great to see. So
will I be able to watch that? Is that on Eurosport?
Yeah, that'll eventually. So the King of the Road series, they normally do something. So it's on this. It'll be on the same publication as Oliver's Mount. So it'll be on that side, Green Light Television, I believe.
Champion.
But yeah, it'll be absolutely. That will be really good watching. That'll be really good watching.
And before we wrap the show up, obviously we'll glance past quite a big motorsport event that happened this week down at Teesside Autodrome, where
I'm looking at you going, have I actually missed something? But now that you're just spooling some crap, there you go. Here we go. Go on then. Keep going.
A good friend of ours, Max Coates,
raking in the cheddar.
British
raking in the cheddar.
British
genius.
British touring car driver.
Rich
put on a fantastic event down at Teesside, go-karting. We turned up and I didn't think it was going to be such a big event. There was 36 teams, four drivers in each team, and it was a 2-hour race. Unbelievable.
Not just any bunch of people mind. You tell them the calibre that was there.
I know. Well, obviously him being in British Touring Car Series,
all his
loads of his mates turning up with all the go-karting gear and
stuff. It was like Hogwarts turning up. They were all in blazers and like matching shoes, and they were, hello Christopher, well done at the BSB. Yes, well done Christopher. Oh yeah, they were very well spoken. But like Porsche GT champions and all sorts, they were serious, man.
Some mega. I mean,
serious.
I would class myself better than average in a go-kart, but nothing special. But by good, the fast lads there were like absolutely on it, and it was good. It was good to watch. And
what's it like feeling like slow again, Chrissy? How did you feel? How did you feel on that?
Our team, I think we were qualified about 11th. We got up to about 7th in the race for a good chunk. And then,
speaking of chunk, who's your big chunk of a mate? He was an absolute ringer of a fella. He was like 6'5", weighing 18 stone, but my God, he was only a second behind us.
And then Paul Wheatley from NGK. And
ringers.
So it was me. Yeah.
He was actually useless. I know he's a big sponsor, but he was anyone that's slower than me is useless. So there we go.
And it was a good job.
Sorry, Paul,
because we're entered sort of through NGK, so we actually won the corporate race. So out of all the sort of sponsors, which means we'll get a free track day in was it Max's car. or something.
Is
We'll
it
get
actually
it sorted.
Is it actually Max's car?
Yeah, I think we'll
Oh,
get
this
a
is-
driving experience down at Teesside, so we'll have to get
this
that.
is gonna get abused like a scouser. I'm telling you, this is gonna be great.
But have you got any other crack or?
I'd just like to apologise to Paul Wheatley for calling him slow. But, facts don't lie. He'll end up killing me for that one. But no, I hate it. That's the only worst thing about these shows. You always end up forgetting something, but you end up remembering for the next show. But obviously, big thanks to Colchester Kawasaki for being on board yet again. Thank you to Mick Grant for taking the time. Thank you to all the Oliver's Mount.
And a huge thanks to all of our patrons. For the
Naturally.
support.
Oh, we're getting good at this now, aren't we? Some corporate arse licking. It's fantastic.
And I'll see you down at Oulton Park at the weekend. Hopefully get something good sorted for while we're down there.
Yeah.
And have a good week at work. Take care, mate.
Take care, son. See you in a bit.
Click, buy, deliver with the two-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.